Hey guys, so I'm taking apart a Km48 over here, Mach 10 engine, and I'm having a hard time with it. I've got the leg of it here. One of the covers has all the stuff on it, and if you're rebuilding one of these or taking it apart, I think the hardest part will be getting this thing off right here. This holds the shaft that goes through the leg of the outboard, and the way it sits in here is it sits inside this little disc area, and it's bolted down with these 3 bolts. What happened for me is after I took these 3 out, here, let me just do this real quick. So I'll move these to the side so I can show you guys. Okay, so this is like this on here. Exactly like this. These are in there, like that. So I unscrewed them just fine with an Allen wrench. And this thing was on here, and I couldn't move it at all. It was like it was welded in here. And at first it didn't look like it was on here, and hitting it over here won't help you, because it's got that recessed groove in here. What you might end up having to do is you might have to take a hammer and just give it some taps like this. Probably a little harder, but eventually it'll just pop like that off a little bit, and you'll be able to just shake it off. And if you're trying to pull the shaft out, it won't come out because it's got that C-clip in there. And I know this thing's pretty dirty, but it's been sitting for a couple decades. So that's over there. Now if it doesn't look familiar to your engine, it's probably because I've got this thing is off. And what goes on top of this, here, let me do this real quick. Come on, so that'll go down like that. Then on top of it you'll have this right here. Then on top of that you'll have this leg. And as you see, I'll just take the leg. Won't put the other part on. Okay. I don't want to put the leg on top, but anyways, the leg sits like this, but on top there. I'm not putting it on because it's got water inside. And the shaft goes through the center over here. If you look down, you can't really see it, but anyways, the shaft comes through, and this little splined part will be sticking up out of it. And so that's how that stays on. And so after this is on, you have these 6 bolts which line up with these 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6. And this is where the exhaust little elbow comes in through here. Comes in, comes out of here, and then it has a little another plate here. Let me show you. There's this other plate that sits on top. This thing right here, and it also acts as a seal for this. So this little thing sits on top like this, right? And this leg sits on top of that. Here, if I can get it in position. Okay, something like that. See? And if you're looking over here and you think something's missing, yes, it's that thing right there. Here. It's that right there, and that's what mounts onto your boat. It's got 4 bolts that just hold it together and clamps onto this part. And if you see here, I've got one of the I guess bushings you could call it, on here, and the other one just stuck on the other part of it. And so you have this over here, as I was saying earlier. So what you have to do is you have to take out these bolts here. There's 5 of them. Take out one there, one here, 2 there, and one more back here. Right? So what'll happen after that is you'll be able to lift this part a little bit up, and then to get to that bolt right there, you'll have to lift the boot up, the leg up I meant, and then lift this up with it and move it over as much as you can so that you can get an Allen wrench in there, because if you don't, you won't be able to take this whole thing off to get to the flywheel over there. So that's how you get that part off. And over here, what I've also done to make it easier is this is where the shifter goes on. I took out the nut that's holding it out on top, and it just slides out. Here, let me show you. I've got the shifter right here. So the way the shifter would normally sit is it would slide in here like that, and it has this little pin to allow it to turn this shaft. And what that shaft does is it moves this one up and down to move the gears that go inside the very top here. And those gears are over here. Now, you don't actually have to take the gears out, but I did, and I found out those mine are pretty bad, or in pretty bad condition. So the way you take those gears out is you have this cover here. It goes on top like this, and it screws down with the gears inside, and then you have the propeller coming off right here, and that right there is the exhaust that comes out to it. So you take out 6 bolts over here, 3 on this side, 3 on that side, and then this will kind of pop off. Inside you'll have the gears, which would be sitting right here, and this thing. See this little pin? You're going to have to take this little cotter pin out. Once you got it out, slide this whole pin out, and then you'll be able to take out the gears as a whole unit, and you'll be able to put this back in. But you don't actually need to do that to make this work. You can actually leave this whole top part together. I just took it out because I was turning on the engine, didn't know how it worked. Couldn't find any videos on it, which kind of sucked. But that's how that is. And so here, let me show you why you don't actually have to take that top part out. So you have these gears, and they go on here on top like that with that whole assembly. And the way they join is they have this little bevel gear. If I can get this on. Come on. Gear. Yeah, that bevel gear sits on there, and when you lift that whole leg up, it'll should just kind of slide up. If yours doesn't want to really come up, you might have to give it a couple thorough shakes. There you go. So I'll put that back. So that's most of it. And one thing I'd recommend for the whole thing is put your bolts and line them up the way you found them. That's what I did here. I know where these are from. There's the cereal box, as you saw. So that's how you get all that crap off, to be able to get the shaft off if you want to convert your Km48 into a land engine instead of a marine use. Yeah. So yeah, that's the whole engine. And I've got the intake blocked off here so that crap doesn't get inside. That's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching.